So when you have an idea of a social work theory, you understand the reasoning, the theory, the various scientific ways practice can be better enhanced and be better performed as a social worker. And the intention of this book, as we go chapter wise chapter, we'll see that how different types of theories can be helpful in understanding the way we interact with our clients, the different stakeholders, the different population, whether it's children or adults or community members. When we have a better understanding of the different social work theories, it helps in bringing a better quality work on the field. So let's first understand what is theory. A theory is an organized set of ideas that seek to explain a particular phenomenon. Theories are typically formulated when there is no empirical evidence, something that can be observed through the five senses to draw a definitive conclusion. And theories are developed on a regular basis. It's not just one thing you observe at a single point of time and you come to a conclusion that this is what it looks like. Over a period of time, when you have observed consistently a certain amount or a certain degree of how the change or your interaction is producing a certain result, then it can be conceptualized as a theory. Well, it will have no empirical evidence, which has to be definitely be proved at some point of time to have that scientific validation to what the theory is trying to imply. A lack of observable evidence leads to people to wonder about a particular experience, prompting the development of a theory or tentative conclusion. When possible, a theory is tested through the scientific method to determine the degree to which its assumptions are supported by observable evidence. Considering the recent technological advances, it is hard to imagine that people once believed the earth was flat. Right. So, lacking the ability to perceive beyond what the eye could see, people developed this assumption, right? They didn't see that it was actually flat. They just developed this assumption because that was what they were capable of observing at that time. The idea that the earth is round was originally only a theory. This tentative conclusion was eventually proved through irrefutable physical evidence. So, theories are used in the natural sciences to explain various phenomena, including changes in weather patterns or causes of various diseases. Following a similar procedure, social scientists develop theories to explain social phenomena, such as how patterns of violence get repeated across multiple generations or what factors lead to poverty. The challenge within the social sciences is that the ability to scientifically test those theoretical assumptions through irrefutable physical evidence is limited because of their complexity and the considerations when conducting research on human subjects. Because conducting research on humans is not easy, right? Human beings are complex systems where it is not easy to come to a standard conclusion, right? So therefore, social scientists must be satisfied with evidence that lends support to their conclusions, because there is little in the social sciences that can be discerned to the degree of knowing the earth is round. As a result of the challenges facing social science researchers, the social work knowledge base is grounded in a multitude of theoretical ideas that come together to inform practice. There are varying levels of abstractions when considering theoretical material in social work. Some theoretical ideas can be quite broad, as in the case with a theoretical perspective or framework. These practice perspectives offer general, widely applicable ideas. In contrast, Cody and Lehman they describe that mid-level practice theories as providing more specificity. These theories provide more detail and perspectives, and they offer theoretical explanations regarding the nature of human behavior. Finally, practice models offer the greatest degree of direction. However, practice models may not be applicable across problem areas or populations. So this table below it provides a description of the strengths and limitations of each level of theoretical material informing social work practice. So the different level the table is divided into levels, strengths, limitations, and the examples. So the level for the first one is practice perspective. The strengths are that it is applicable across multiple practice settings, and the limitations are that it is difficult to measure, difficult to implement consistently, and it is difficult to evaluate effectiveness. For example, the different theories which come under this practice level perspectives are the person and environment perspective, problem centered practice, strengths perspective. Then we have the level of practice theories where the strengths are that it's more specific than larger perspective and it offers a greater direction for practice. Another strength is that it's easier to define and measure than perspectives. And the limitations are that it's perhaps not applicable across practice settings. So the different examples under this level are cognitive theory, the behaviorism, and the crisis theory. The person in environment perspective, problem centered practice, and strengths perspective, they represent larger viewpoints that can be applied across social work practice. They are theoretical in that they offer an organized set of ideas that can be used to guide practice. However, they are not as clearly defined as some lower level theories. These three perspectives are in ways the foundation to social work practice. Whereas social workers choose theories to add onto these larger perspectives, person in environment perspective, problem centered practice, and strengths perspective inform all parts of social work practice. Theories, in contrast, are more clearly defined than these larger perspectives and lend themselves more readily to testing. Cognitive theory and family systems theory, they represent mid-level theories. Theories are more specific than perspective and therefore offer more direction regarding social work practice. However, their increase in specificity may leave them irrelevant for certain practice settings. Finally, the most narrow and specified theoretical guides to practice are models. Practice models such as solution focused brief therapy, these offer almost a how to manual for social workers regarding what to say and do in specified client situations. When these models are put into manual form, also known as manualized treatment, they are the easiest of the levels to implement and measure. However, treatment manuals are often set up to offer one intervention chosen to affect one identified problem. Because social workers need to remain responsive to diverse client populations and specific cultural preferences, having one narrow model of practice is not always helpful or practical. Therefore, this chapter discusses the different strategies for integrating multiple theories, the various kinds of theories that are in our knowledge domain, providing a range of practice interventions informed by theoretical perspectives, theories, the models chosen to fit the particular cultural preferences of each client. Because initially, when these theories or models were being designed, it was not really, those were not identified or used in different cultures, in different populations, and that's why today, at this stage of social work practice, when there is more awareness and knowledge needed for culturally responsive social work practice, we need to have different theoretical perspective, theories, and models all together to fit that particular cultural preference of each client. Evidence based practice. As mentioned earlier, a theory is a set of organized ideas used to explain a phenomenon. Whether theorizing offers larger gilding frameworks that are applicable across settings, mid level theories offering increased specificity, or models that offer directive guides to specialized practice techniques. The professional knowledge base is grounded in theoretical material that guides assessment, planning, and intervention. Although social scientists are not able to offer irrefutable evidence to prove their theories, as can in some cases be accomplished in the natural sciences, social work is concerned with seeking evidence that lends support to claims that theoretically informed social work interventions are effective. Over the past 2 decades, the field of social work has become increasingly concerned that professional decision making is not just grounded in theory but also supported by empirical evidence. So, evidence based practice or EBP is a movement in social work suggesting that when possible, social work intervention should be chosen based on the best available evidence of effectiveness. The concept of EBP is modeled after an approach in medicine that involves using research evidence to inform decisions regarding which medical treatments to choose for various health conditions. EBP is essentially a process that involves searching for the best available evidence to support clinical decision making that also considers a social worker's clinical judgment and professional ethics and the client's personal and cultural preferences. Social work researchers have responded by designing and conducting a host of research studies to test whether a particular intervention is effective with a particular social problem. EBP for social workers involves working in conjunction with client preferences to choose interventions based on this body of research that have demonstrated effectiveness. To understand how evidence can be applied to support the use of a particular psychosocial treatment, we use cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT as example. CBT is commonly used to treat emotional problems such as anxiety and depression. So, CBT is grounded in an integration of cognitive theory and behaviorism, mid level theories that offers direction regarding how to assess and treat mood disorders. The theories explain the mechanism for change, suggesting that depression is maintained through illogical thought patterns that fosters hopelessness. By identifying and restructuring unhelpful thought patterns, CBT is expected to alleviate the symptoms of depression. Multiple research studies have implemented CBT and tested its effectiveness by establishing whether levels of depression were reduced after a client received CBT. So, based on these studies, CBT has been shown to significantly reduce the depressive symptoms for many participants in these studies, suggesting it is an empirically supported treatment for this target problem. Some people believe that EBP is the future of social work. Establishing the evidence for the practice of social work lends credibility to what social workers do. In addition, ensuring our practices are effective is relevant when considering our ethical responsibility to clients. In this way, theories and research evidence work together to form the social work knowledge base needed to inform professional decision making. Although the notion that research informs social work practice is well accepted, it is important to acknowledge that there are substantial debates about how narrowly to interpret the concept of evidence and therefore how best to implement the process of EBP. Standards regarding what type of evidence is of value remain at question. Some social work scholars suggest the highest level of evidentiary evidence comes from a systematic review of randomized controlled trials. Systematic reviews involve reviewing multiple research studies on the same topic to see whether similar studies report consistent findings. RCTs are often included in systematic reviews because they involve controlling for factors outside a study's focus that may be affecting the outcome, increasing a researcher's confidence that the effects are truly a result of the intervention. RCTs are considered by many people to be the most rigorous form of intervention research because systematic reviews look at the effects of multiple RCTs. This offers a substantial amount of quality evidence regarding effectiveness. Essentially, this means that several well done studies have consistently supported the hypothesis that the use of a particular intervention has led to reduced symptoms related to a particular problem. When a treatment has received this level of evidence, it is considered to have empirical support. In this book, we cover a range of modern and postmodern theoretical positions to offer an array of perspectives that have varied application for social work practice that occurs with individuals, families, and communities on the micro, meso, and macro levels. At times, we offer case examples that focus on micro practice when a particular theory offers an explanation for how to understand individual functioning. At other times, we offer macro practice examples, often associated with postmodern perspectives, that provide explanations regarding the role society plays in issues of relevance to social work. When we use the phrase social work practice, we are speaking broadly about generalist practice, which encompasses the varied roles social workers serve, including but not limited to counselors, crisis intervention workers, case managers, program developers, policy analysts, advocates, and community organizers. So in this table, as you can see, the key concepts have been laid out. So the theory is, let's summarize one more time through this table, which means that the theory is an organized set of ideas that seek to explain a particular phenomenon. Empirical evidence is the evidence which is based on what can be observed through the five senses. Then the key concept mechanism for change means an explanation regarding the process for making positive improvements regarding a particular problem. Then evidence-based practice, or EBP, as we discussed, is a process of choosing an intervention which is based on the best available research evidence, a social worker's judgment, and a client's personal and cultural preferences. And micro skills are the elements in communication, the small little skills which we can use in our communication, which can make a huge amount of difference on how we take a stance towards social work practice, which is asking questions or reflecting feelings that help a professional to facilitate a social work interview. Coming to theoretical integration. Now, how will you integrate your theoretical knowledge when you are practicing social work? Throughout this book, each chapter covers a different theoretical perspective, theory, or model for the purpose of understanding, critiquing, and applying these distinct sets of organized idea This approach increases the clarity about each theory, allowing us to compare and contrast the ideas among the theories covered. Although it is helpful to learn theories in this way, in practice, theories are commonly integrated and we draw from multiple perspectives when seeking to assess, plan, and interview. Although combining theories is a common practice, this is not an activity to take lightly. Therefore, we cover 4 approaches which will be summarized in the table below regarding how to implement theory. Now, there are 4 ways of how you will approach when you are integrating theory. The first one is the expert approach. When social work practitioners choose to use one theory to guide their practice, this is considered the expert approach. The advantage to drawing interventions from one theory is that social workers can spend all of their continuing education time reading, researching, and attending trainings on this just one theory. So students cover a range of theories in their programs. So taking an expert approach means that new social workers explore all the options relevant for the population with whom they work and the problems they expect to address. This choice then leads to ongoing post-degree development in becoming an expert in the technical application of that theory. The strength of this approach is that the social worker has the opportunity to develop advanced skills within one theory. This can increase confidence and skill level. Despite these potential advantages, social workers rarely have jobs focused on just one problem area. Even if they find such a position, there is variability within any population and within any problem area. Having only one theory to draw from may limit the number of interventions available to the social worker. This may hinder the worker's ability to remain responsive to complicating factors within the case. The expert approach may also limit culturally sensitive treatment because it prioritizes the clinical preferences of the practitioner over those of the client. Therefore, most social workers choose to integrate multiple theories into their approach to practice, and I think this becomes the most conflicting way of how to handle social work practice, because this may sound as a very expert approach, but in reality, having the flexibility to use different theories is always better, because we are always encountering different clients, different situations, different circumstances, and having just one theory at hand may be helpful. Having that knowledge, expert knowledge, is helpful, but having the backup of different theories, in which case, in whatever case it may apply to, is always helpful. So the next is the eclectic approach to theory integration. Involves a long list of theoretical informed interventions from which the social worker can draw. In this case, the social worker may not be an expert in one theory or model, but instead may have reasonable competence in many theories. Social workers are able to draw from multiple perspectives, allowing them to remain more responsive to the cultural preferences of clients and to be the better prepared to address multi-problem cases. And usually that happens because when there is a case at your hand, there could be not just one problem which we are dealing with, but there could be multiple problems which that particular case is being involved with. So we never know what and every case is unique, and so that's why it's important to be flexible and open and be understanding of the different theories that can come into play. The benefit to this approach is its breadth and flexibility, as I was saying, and the disadvantage is that it requires social workers to know a lot of theories. In addition, and when it says a lot of theories, I think having the knowledge of the basic theories which have been tested and tried and have been in the social work arena and intervention is the most preferable, because some of the theories are being tested in different cultural environments, and that is still the basic scope of that theory remains the same, and it may just vary a little bit in various different cultures, but the main essence of the theory remains the same. So, the benefit to this approach is its breadth and flexibility. The disadvantage is that it requires social workers to know a lot of theories. In addition, some people are concerned that a truly eclectic approach can water down the application of theory, creating an inconsistent a-theoretical approach. If a social worker chooses the eclectic approach, it is essential that core competencies are developed within each theory that is applied. The next is selective borrowing. Involves choosing one primary theory that is then supplemented with interventions from other theories as needed. This approach represents a compromise between the expert and the eclectic approaches. The social worker ascribes to one primary theory that represents the best fit for the population and the problem areas addressed by that worker. This practitioner is responsible for developing expert knowledge regarding this theory and how it is applied in practice. Once social worker achieve the competence with the primary theory, they then search for a multitude of additional interventions grounded in varying theories that complement the primary theory. The next one is combining two theories. Now, combining two theories involves choosing two primary theories that are integrated to guide practice. Choosing two theories that supplement each other by making up for the limitations present in the other theory can be a useful way of developing advanced skills and expertise while creating some flexibility. CBT is a treatment approach discussed earlier in this chapter that represents a good example of combining two theories. In this case, theorists integrated the theoretical principles of behaviorism with cognitive theory. So that is how the two theories are integrated in CBT. And they were philosophically aligned too. So by combining these two theories, the approach became stronger because each theory made up for the limitations of the other. In a similar way, social workers may choose to identify two theories that best fit the population and the problem areas they serve. The integration of two approaches broadens the theoretical understanding that informs assessment, planning, and intervention. We are almost towards the end of the chapter, and this introductory chapter was mostly about what theory is and why learning about theory is important to enhance our social work practice. The next chapters will be specifically focused on each theories which is there in the social work practice and how that theory is being implemented on the field will be discussed in detail. So, but the micro skills remain the same in all the theories, irrespective of the theories we use and pick and choose and work with our clients with, because these micro skills are common across all the theories that will be applied and integrated. So, it is essential to keep improving our micro skills in order to enhance the client social worker relationship, because that is the most important stepping stone to building a positive relationship of the client social worker journey. Micro skills are the communication skill units used to facilitate a professional interview. The basic interviewing techniques are focused on active listening and seek to draw out a client's story to foster understanding. These communication skills are needed to conduct any social work interview. The basics micro skills as summarized in table 1.4 include orientation, attending, asking open and closed-ended questions, reflection of feelings or content, and summarization. When conducting a professional interview, social workers use these basic skills interchangeably in the process of structuring the interview. For example, a social worker employed in a hospital may be meeting with an older adult and her adult children regarding whether the patient needs skilled nursing care. The interview may start with orientation, which involves the worker explaining the purpose of their meeting and the role of the social worker. The worker may then use an open-ended question to ask the patient about what she would like to accomplish. By looking and speaking to the patient first, the social worker is attending to the patient, empowering her self-determination, and demonstrating respect for her. As the patient responds to the open-ended question,